So, last time on The Enemy Within, the party at very, very, very long last arrived in the capital of the Empire, the city of Altdorf. It was not an easy set of travels by any means of the imagination, but you did eventually, despite all odds, make it. You did, of course, have to deal with quite a few nasty engagements out on the road. Some of you nearly died, but luckily you did manage to make it to Altdorf in relatively one piece, and you entered the city, wandered around a little bit until you arrived at the Koenig Plots, which upon kind of arriving towards the center of the city, when you were kind of looking for a place to stay and figuring out your way around, you actually got caught up in a parade, and none other than Emperor Karl-Franz himself, leading a large contingent of the Reichsguard, came out in kind of an impromptu march that caught a lot of people's attention. It was very spectacular, and there was confetti and people shouting, and the Emperor looked very, very nice and shiny in all of his black Romero plate, and the Reichsguard looked nice and intimidating, but eventually they passed on, and you were able to continue on. However, during that little series of events, unfortunately, everybody's favorite dwarf Thend had the misfortune of running into a pickpocket, and the pickpocket managed to steal his pouch, which also contained the ring that he had acquired off of one of the Knights Panther that y'all had found along the road. The other thing y'all had taken being the sword that is currently held/wielded by Astaroth. Y'all did give chase to the thief. However, the thief proved a little too wily and managed to successfully escape with his ill-gotten gains. Despite that, y'all did eventually find an inn to stay at for the evening, which was the Lion's Paw on the street of 100 taverns. And you were able to settle down a bit for the night, and that is where we left you. So, since a new day is dawned, we're going to advance the calendar. So it is Festdag, the 24th of Yardrung. And you have successfully made it to Altdorf. There are plenty of things to do. As far as what y'all were up to before you arrived in the city, you had heard quite a few mentions from various individuals that you had either the misfortune or pleasure of running into, that the manticore that's kind of been a constant thorn in y'all's sides was last seen heading not towards Altdorf, but more southeast of Altdorf. It likely did not seem to be heading for the city itself, but more was avoiding it, perhaps going around. But through your own deductions, you learned a little bit about there's a large fair, yearly kind of festival about to happen called the Schaffenfest, which takes place in the city of Bogenhafen. And y'all discussed among yourselves that this could very well be a appetizing target for the creature that has been sort of the focal point of many of your adventures leading up to this point. But nonetheless, it's the dawn of a new day, and you all find yourselves awakening in your rooms. Though, as you awaken in your rooms, you do notice something very quickly. Astaroth, Dorthandrel, and Sigmund, that one of your party is missing. If I recall correctly, y'all stayed in the common room at the Lion's Paw. And where the dwarf once was, instead, are neatly folded sheets, carefully put back into place, and there is a simple slip of paper left behind.
I'm gonna investigate. Oh, think to himself about how the dwarf got paper
Truly a
and has
grand
been
mystery.
hiding this from him, and he will look and read the note.
It says, essentially, from Thend, to whom it may concern. I had the fortune of running into a close friend whilst looking for the thief from yesterday. As I don't wish to pull you into affairs that seem as though be going into Altdorf's underground, we must part ways at this time. I wish you all the best of luck forward, though, and I do sincerely hope that our paths cross again. Signed, Thend Harazling.
Astaroth will just let out a deep sigh. Oh, and then there was 3. Seems like we're dropping like flies lately. I do hope he finds what he's looking for. Gonna miss that little bastard.
Oh. A bunch of guns, presumably. I
Yeah.
will look at Sigmund. Shame there's nothing more about this, but who knows, maybe we'll find him again and we'll know more about your gun theft.
To each their own, I suppose, but I mean, he did do us the kindness to leave us a note. It's not. I guess it's just it's better off to not go pursuing and just let him continue on his journey. As for the 3 of us, Dorthendril, didn't you say you wanted to send a letter to your family?
Yes.
All right, how about we start our day with that? On our way back, if we could find, I do believe the Knights Panzer have more than likely have a chapter house here in the city of Altdorf.
They do.
I would like to stop by there as well. Sigmund, did you have anything in particular you needed to do?
Not in particular, but we could definitely stop at a blacksmith, see what's available. We can pick up a proper weapon or two.
Wait just a minute. I'm going to turn back to the folded sheets and say, did Zen take the chainmail with him? Because I do believe he had a set of chainmail.
We did give it to him.
Yeah, but I just want to look.
He did take his belongings with him, yes.
Okay. I can't hold that against him, I guess.
That being said, real quick, before we go any further, just so I kind of have it in my mind as we're heading into the session, what are each of y'all's short-term goals?
Right now, my short-term goal is to return this sword to the Knights Panther.
Okay.
As well as stock up on maybe some more stuff, and we definitely need a little bit more money. So if we can earn some more money somehow, that would be great. But
I'm still looking for Anton.
Right. Okay.
It's my short term.
Dorothendril succeeded in his short term and has not come up with something short term in the meantime.
Oh, you should do that when you have a moment during the session.
All right.
Okay, so with that, all those in mind, just so I had those fresh on my mind. The other thing I do want to remind you all is that on the road you did discover, just because it bears worth mentioning and reminding, because it was significant, when you were dealing with the mutants who were assaulting caravans on the road, you did discover a strange individual who looked exactly like, it was Sigmund, right?
Yes.
Yes, by the name, according to the documents that he was carrying, one Caster Lieberung, and you still possess those very same documents. That does talk about apparently an estate that he will be inheriting over in none other than Bogenhafen. And not only do you have the documents detailing this, but you have documents that have been essentially ratified by numerous trustworthy individuals that the possessor of said letter is, in fact, Caster Lieberung. Any event.
That's a little identity theft.
Yeah, well, yeah. It can't hurt them when they're already dead.
Well, they just saw that money just sitting there unclaimed.
Yeah, in this day and age, just shameful. You'd be fools to let that. It'd be irresponsible not to do something about that.
Quote
But
the famous Sigmund phrase of "It's not grave robbing if they're not dead. It's not identity theft if they don't exist anymore."
Exactly.
So, the three of you head out onto the town. You're able to get yourselves a meager but nonetheless satisfactory breakfast before you leave as part of your payment for the evening.
While I'm eating, I'd like to listen and see what I hear.
All right, roll me an average gossip check. Oh boy. Okay. Astaroth, as y'all are eating and minding your own business, quite a few people are discussing the events of yesterday, and you keep hearing a lot about the Emperor. And you hear two women talking, and one of them says, "That's the fourth parade he's done this week. I'm telling you, you know the rumors are true. If he's out here dallying with parades almost by the day, it has to be a body double. No way. They're trying to convince us the Emperor's here doing things. I'll bet the real one's off whoring around some other part of the city or has wandered off to go visit some ne'er-do-well down in Nuln." And she's saying this quite loudly, not conspiratorially, and everyone who hears her and seems to be participating in the conversation nods their heads in as if this is common wisdom in agreement.
Honestly, I kind of agree with her because I had that thought cross my mind last time we played and the parade happened. I was like, I bet you he's off on campaign, and he's probably a body double to keep up appearances in the city. So.
If he was on
Yeah,
campaign, wouldn't the Imperial or Reichland first be with him?
Maybe not all. Maybe that wasn't even the Reichland first. Maybe it was just some Reichsguard. You know, sure they take into account these things, but I don't necessarily disagree with the woman. So, okay, kind of interesting. What do y'all think about that?
I think
Thugs.
either way, it's way above our purview.
Yeah.
Well, I've never met the man, so I would not know if that was him, if it was him.
If you had to bet the man, Jothandro, I would be down on my knees in front of you right now. To only hope to meet the Emperor Franz. But shall we continue on then? Get about our day.
All right. Y'all head back out onto the street of 100 taverns, and the city is bustling. It's still vaguely an unpleasant place. You've seen a lot of hustle and bustle, but this is almost more like Fast and the Furious edition of hustle and bustle, where people are constantly shouting at one another, and a lot of people look almost vaguely panicked as they're trying not to get trampled by constantly moving crowds, despite the fact it's early in the morning. And everything just kind of feels nervous. A nervous energy would be a fair way to describe things. Also, Dorthandrel, would you be so kind as to roll me a D100?
Also, make sure to keep a hand on your coin pouch.
31.
31. Okie dokie. Now, Sigmund, you roll me a D100.
Okay. 30.
Okay. And last, Mr. Yes, there you go. All right, so as you all walk out, you notice that many of the you can see from where you're at, though it's not where you are, that there is a pretty dense fog that is settled on many of the on this area of the city over here. and it is almost sickly and uncomfortable looking. It's as if kind of a grotesque cloud has settled on the ground. But luckily, it's nowhere near you.
That's
Delightful.
peculiar. Yeah. What on earth could that be?
Yeah, you can ask around if you want.
Yeah. I will definitely inquire because I am curious.
Roll an easy gossip check. Very quickly, based on the way the bewildered look you're giving it, you ask the first person that passes you by, elderly man with a pretty pronounced limp, who sort of looks you up and down with the look that can only be reserved for someone that is asking the most obvious of questions.
I apologize, good sir. I'm not from here, but what on earth is that thing?
He says, I know. If you were from here, you'd know that's just the fog. Rolls in every day, hits different places. The severity might be better or worse, depending on the wind. You should consider yourself lucky it's over there, not over here. Stinks
The
foul.
Fog. Does it stinks, but does it do anything to anyone who it comes into contact with?
Yeah, it makes their day miserable. Welcome to Altdorf. And he hurries on.
Well then, I guess that's good to know. Not like we would have been walking into it anyways, but I can only imagine what that must smell like.
That is an interesting, localized roving fog.
And I'll look at Dothandro and I'll say, I believe you've had enough stink in the last couple of days. So don't you agree?
Wow, rude.
I glare at Astaroth, then over the crowd at the fog in the distance. Do I notice anything like magically weird about this fog?
Roll a perception test.
Oh.
It will be challenging.
That was the wrong one to use. Challenging. So 6 success levels.
You feel profoundly confident that there is nothing magical about the fog. It is likely due to the filthy, disgusting industry of humans. And far too many of them living in far too small a space.
Typical.
That being said, while you are watching the fog, despite the fact you feel supremely confident that it is not magical in nature, every once in a while you almost feel like you see something in it. Like a little reverberation, or almost like you're almost able to make out some kind of image, but when you try to focus on it, it's gone. But then again, it's pretty, like, filthy. Yeah, you don't want to go anywhere near that stuff.
Well then, Dothendril, do you know where the District of Elves is? Isn't that where we need to go to send a letter?
Yes.
Do you know to the south? Okay then.
Along the river. We'll know it when things look acceptable.
All right, so you're gonna start
We're
making
in
your way
the
down
nicest city
towards
in the Empire. What are you talking?
You're gonna start making your way down towards the docks.
Yes.
All right, you start making your way down through the city, and it is not long before you arrive towards the bridges in this vicinity. And doing a little bit of asking around, which one or all of you can roll me a very easy gossip check, especially because you have an elf among you.
I'll just assist.
All right.
Yeah,
Very
you're great.
easy.
You are able to identify quite quickly the location of the Saphirian embassy.
Ah. Well, it's best to get this over with.
Would you like me and Sigmund to wait outside? I don't want to upset any of your kin who work at this embassy.
That would be very polite of you.
Absolutely. Anything to make your day a little easier, my friend.
Do the two of you want to wait for him, or do you want to go do other stuff while he's in there?
I'm not too keen on separating. I don't know how you feel, Sigmund.
Yeah, probably be best not to lose our elf. He's the only one
Yeah.
that can read among us.
Yeah, so we'll wait outside.
All right, I think that is I think that is quite reasonable. Dorthandrel, you approach the beautifully sculpted and carefully made Saphirian embassy, which was clearly designed using elven architecture in mind. The influence of magic on its build is quite obvious in that many of the slender structures that prop it up and spiral off of it are not something that humans would be able to achieve using their very crude methods of building. And you can tell this building is old. This thing has been here for a very long time, but it is still alabaster white.
I will approach someone who can give me directions and indicate that I am Dorothandril Dendyheart. I was to meet a friend of my father's about a month ago.
So you speak, you find a collection of elves who are standing outside, and you do see a couple of ships, some looking like they are more likely from Marienburg, others very distinctly from the Isle of Ulthuan, much larger and more carefully sculpted craft that look like they would be impressively swift on the seas. And upon asking around a bit, you do encounter, you manage to get the attention of an elf who's at least willing to acknowledge your existence. And you can tell from his armor and his standing that he's like a proper Ulthuani Asur. He is not a sea elf like yourself. And he's a bit taller than you. He regally sort of stares down at you. He's wearing one of the conical helms that identifies him as a member of the Lothern Sea Guard. And he looks and says, "Well, I haven't heard of you. I can't say why anyone else here would have either. You seem quite unremarkable."
I am quite young.
Who is it that you said you were looking for?
I need a random elf name because I don't think we ever named this person.
Aw, snap. Hold on. I was dumb and didn't pull up my random name generator, and now I'm regretting it, but I know where it is. Come here, you. Where is it? Oh, I'm in the wrong section. Here we go.
Agnor. My
Agnor?
house, Mithalel.
Good enough. He sort of, his eyes narrow to slits, and he pauses for a moment as if searching his memory. Says, "From Marienburg, yes?"
Yes.
"Ah, that explains." And he looks you up and down again, even slower this time, and says, "Much. Yes, I recall him being here but a few days ago. I'm terribly sorry to say you've missed him."
That is unfortunate, then. Perhaps I could write a letter, then?
He shrugs and says, "I'm sure someone in the embassy would be willing to deal with your mundane problems.
It would definitely be better than occupying your time. I will give a good day and go find someone more helpful. Because it's their job.
Okay. There's my cheat sheet. You head inside, and you have to wait around a little bit, but you do eventually manage to speak with a elven woman wearing finely woven clothing, robes that clearly come from the homeland of Ulthuan, with some very deep, rich blues and a couple of red accents, very much carrying the colors of Safri. And you can very clearly see the winds of magic teasing around her. She acknowledges your presence as you approach with just the faintest and almost imperceptible of nods, but you do catch it.
I'll give a polite nod to her as well, considering her station and my lack of it. Yes, I needed to get a letter sent back to my father in Marienburg.
She nods and immediately produces out from beneath a desk she's sitting at some beautifully crafted paper that is just, it's so fine, and it has like that, it almost looks like it should be soft. It isn't. It has all the qualities you would expect of paper, but there's still kind of almost an otherworldliness to it, and some very unnecessary like gold leaf added along the margins. She then holds out a quill for you, and she says, "Make sure you address it properly. We can have it sent so long as you identify him."
I will write out his full name, title, job position. I'll eye her whether considering I should add my mother's name and decide not to. And write out a story about my apology. If the merchant who he sent me to Altdorf with has brought up complaints, I was in the bilges pumping water when they ran into more rocks. So it's not my fault the ship sunk, whatever they tell him. I did a brief detour. I found a Luharath wave crest in Middenheim and in the Spitteldorf tenement. He seems to think his family is still looking for him. He seems quite in distress and in poor health. I essentially go through a list of what we've done, trying to play it off as, look, I've found useful things, and finish it off with you don't need to send anyone to collect me. I'm doing just fine. And I'll make a note that I'm including the fingernail clipping from that shrine. But just in case that it's useful in researching whether it's not tainted or connected by chaos, in case the elves, it would be useful to him to back the Empire or Middenheim or Reichland if some Sigmar Ulrich contention arrives and it's useful. Also making a note that there's a witch hunter who just wants to kill any elf. I'll hold it up.
As you roll it up, you could see sort of a glint of mirth in the elf who gave you the paper in her eyes, but she says nothing.
Oh, I'm certain she read everything I wrote. I will try to hide the fact that the front of my clothing, has a big, huge cut in it from when I got stabbed by an axe a few days ago.
There is no earthly way to hide the absolute destruction a considerable amount of your clothing has been put through.
Maybe we can hide that strip of cloak missing.
Also missing, like, 6 inches off the bottom of my cloak, and a ratted tear.
Yeah, it is quite painfully obvious that you are recently off the roads.
But I will fold it back up, make sure that the message is properly indicated to him, and hand it back to her.
She nods and says, "That'll be one of their shillings for transport costs."
I will hand her a shilling.
All right. She nods and she waves her hand somewhat absentmindedly, and the paper simply lifts up out of your hands and very quickly drifts off behind her around a corner to somewhere.
I will look wistfully at this magic, give her a polite nod, and I will head on my way before the humans do something that causes trouble in the front of the district.
Sigmund and Astaroth, you do find yourselves getting quite a few what you can only describe as the most disdainful of looks from the residents and visitors of Elftown, who seem to very much resent your presence, though no one goes so far as to confront you about it. But fortunately, Dorathandril emerges from the Saphirian embassy, having not left you out on your own like a child in the grocery aisle for too long.
So, Thandril, did all go well?
Oh yes, it is done.
Done? Excellent. I had a thought, though, Thandril, while we were out here left to ponder. I know you're probably not too much of a fan of human architecture and the layout of the city, and I know we're kind of not pressed for time, but we are under a matter of urgency, but we are here. How would you feel about a riverboat cruise of Altdorf, just to get out on the river, I should say, and relax for a little bit and get your seafaring legs back on? Would that be something that interests you, or?
To cruise the river in the city. Dorothan will glance towards the fog cloud.
It's ominous and it's hungry.
Do some mental calculations about what it's going to smell like at a Schaffenfest. Well, I do not think marveling at your quaint architecture would get a good view from the river.
Fair enough. I just wanted to ask. It was something I thought of, and to get you out on a boat, and maybe give us a little bit of a break and get you out on back where you're most happiest. But I totally understand.
Well, if we are going to this Bogenhafen, hopefully it is near a river.
I think actually we asked the tavern keep yesterday, and he said it would be best to take a boat down. At least
I shall have plenty of time on a boat then. I'd like to limit my time in here.
All right. So you have finished up your little situation here. What else would y'all like to do? There's plenty of shopping to be had. We also know that Astaroth mentioned something about visiting the Knight's Panther at some point.
Sigmund, anything you needed wrapping up here in Altdorf?
I mean, I'd like to at least ask around, maybe see if Anton's come through, but it's such a big city.
Well, someone might know. We can always begin by asking. I'll assist Sigmund in his gossiping about finding Anton.
How are you going to ask about Anton? Are you literally going to be walking around? What's the wording you're going to use to inquire about this man you're looking for?
So we know Anton worked with Fend as a warden of Monument Park, and they had a uniform there, right?
That's true.
So just going to be asking if anyone has come in through Middenheim wearing, or coming down from the road from Middenheim wearing that kind of uniform, or matching the description we have of Anton.
All right. since you are functionally kind of asking strangers on the street about a person you're looking for in a city with a population that is vaguely, or that is suggested to be in the like above 1 million, roll a minus 50 gossip check. Though I believe you are being assisted by your bros here, so you will get a plus 20, so you'll functionally be at minus 30.
Okay.
You will have to roll very good on this.
Yep. So it's just challenging minus 30.
Yes. Well, you would do, instead of challenging, you do very hard, but that works. Do you want to spend any fortune points?
Yeah.
So, I'll say that, hold on. So you failed by 2, so if you used 1, that would put you at minus 1. 2 would put you at minus 0. 3. You need to spend 3 fortune points to get a pass. I would not recommend it unless you're just like hell bent on trying to find a nugget of information right at this moment.
I think I'll just spend 1 to reroll.
Okay, you're still looking for a 10.
Mm-hmm.
All right, have at it.
No.
Oh, critical failure. Yeah. You ask around for a bit, and eventually someone tells you, as you're describing Anton, and you talk about this young man, kind of skinny, a little lean. You kind of vaguely describe the uniform. The person who is a little definitely on the has been hitting the sauce a little hard in the morning side of things, kind of looks at you blearily and goes, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah?
Yeah, just, if you head across the river and head on down towards the Hammerfad district, yeah, ask around there, and I think he's going by a different name. You're looking for a young man named Lenny.
Lenny.
He seems very assured of this.
All right. I appreciate your assistance.
What will you do?
Well, guess it's time. What was the district again?
It is the Hammerfad district. Which it's very easy after a little bit of sussing around to find out is over here.
Alice.
Well, I guess it's probably in the same direction as the Ninth Panther, seeing how that's by the Emperor's Palace. I'm guessing they're somewhere near there.
Right, if we're all good here. Lothendril, is there any shops you want to hit while we're here or anything like that? Or do you think your business is concluded?
My business is done.
Okay. Alright, then let's head that way.
Alright. You make your way across the bridges and start heading into a nicer part of town. You're passing very, very close to the absolutely monumental Holy Temple of Sigmar and the Emperor's Palace, passing between the two of them. And these structures are what can only be described as awe-inspiring, because they are of such colossal, titanic size that it's frankly shocking that anyone managed to successfully ever put them together without them collapsing upon those doing such work.
You can just see the the joy in my face as we're approaching these monuments and monumental structures, and just the endurance and ingenuity of mankind, which I know doesn't take hold on a lot of people, but in our party. But I'm just enamored by the surroundings. By Sigmar, look at this place. Look at how magnificent everything is. This is what we're capable of. This is what we're fighting for.
All right.
Yes. They managed to find soot even here.
So, as you're making your way down, you're kind of following the waves of traffic, traveling through these rivers or oceans of people. And as you're passing through sort of a more open space, this square here, where a lot of people are marveling over the Emperor's palace, and you see members of the Reichsguard on foot standing around with like large greatswords held in their hands, facing downwards, looking very impressive and intimidating. Lots of bustle and hustle going on. You can't help but notice, because it's so strange being in this space where people are kind of milling about, that two men sort of break away from the crowd and begin heading directly towards the three of you. And they don't really look particularly... There's nothing about them that really jumps out at you. They kind of just look like everybody else. But as they approach, one of them, they get within not quite speaking distance, a little further. One of them sort of starts leaning around, and he starts looking kind of around the crowd as if he's watching for someone. And the other man, who's a little bit taller, a bit more ganglier, and has, like, you could tell that he's in desperate need of a shave, and from some of the stains, particularly around his armpits, is probably not the most pleasant smelling individual, but he looks directly at you, Sigmund, and he reaches up and starts scratching at his left ear, just staring at you.
Can I roll for intuition to see if I can just maybe glance a feel if they're up to no good, or if they're...
Sure, roll a challenging intuition check.
Oh, okay.
It makes you uncomfortable, because he's clearly, like, he is making very intense eye contact with you. But all he does is he reaches up and he scratches his left ear with the little finger of his right hand. Like, he's going super out of his way to cross his body. He's not using his left hand. He's using the pinky finger on his right hand. And it's very weird looking. And he stops and he looks at you, and he almost like is leaning forward with his eyes bulging almost a little bit. And then after a moment, he does it again.
Dorothy will lean in front of Sigmund and look at his ear. Is there something there?
Raise up a hand, check it. Like, I'm not bleeding or anything, though.
No, you don't see anything. Shaving? His ear looks normal.
They are acting rather peculiar. I just don't know what he's doing with his right hand. Why would you do that?
His ear.
Why would you not do it with the hand on that side of the body, though? And he's staring at you.
So these two, because one of them is just beating you down. Like, if his eyes could generate heat, you would be incinerated due to the intensity of the stare. And the other one occasionally will look at you three and then look back at his companion, and they talk amongst themselves. And suddenly they switch roles, with the taller, ganglier man now taking... he looks almost offended by something that the squatter and more rotund companion of his, who has a bit of a concerning double chin, because there's almost like a grease mark where his chins meet. That looks like he probably hasn't tended to it in just way too long. He now looks at you, again and does the same thing. He reaches his right hand across his body and scratches at his left ear with his right pinky finger.
I'm just gonna match his gaze and shake my head.
My temper is going to take the best of me, and I am going to march right across all of the traffic and walk right up to this gentleman.
So before you do that,
Okay.
as Sigmund shakes his head and then you start to move towards them, the two men look very panicked. Like suddenly, like they start backing up and almost kind of like running into each other as if they're terrified of you. And they whisper to one another for a moment, and when it becomes clear that you are continuing to move towards them, they immediately begin falling back. Like they don't seem terribly interested in wanting to get very close to you, Astaroth.
I will turn to Sigmund and say, well, they were looking at you. What do you want to do? You want to chase them or leave them be?
Probably find out what this is before.
I will say they don't seem particularly threatening. They just seem confused.
With Sigmund's blessing, I have a crooked smile on my face, and I will start running.
Okay. So you start trying to push your way through the crowds, making a beeline for these men. And both of them pale considerably. And as they begin to stumble backwards, one of them, as he's looking for a way out, sees something, or he seems to see something, because he pauses and he grabs at his companion's shirt and shakes him and points. And they're pointing at a doorway, and the two of them bolt for it. Roll me not challenging, a -10 difficult athletics check as you're trying to push your way through the crowd.
Oh.
Do you
And
want
I
to?
re-roll.
You may.
Yeah.
So long as you have a fortune point to spend. Are any of you still sick, by the way?
No, I haven't been sick for days.
Yeah,
Let's go.
cleared
Ooh.
up today.
Wow, look at you. All right, so you start weaving your way through the crowd, dodging aside narrowly, avoiding people that are carting around goods, carrying groceries, leading their children around. A lot of people start very angrily shouting at you, and you notice as you're kind of causing a commotion, you can't help but see the Reichsguard. Some of them start turning their attention onto you specifically. And one of them even goes so far as to lift up his greatsword and heft it onto his shoulder, and in his full plate begin walking in your direction. But the two men that you're pursuing are practically bowling one another over as they race towards this house. And just as you're about to catch up to them, they both manage to get through the door, and it slams shut.
At this point, I'll turn around and start walking back towards Sigmund.
I was making my way to him as well.
I'll say, "Oi, Sigmund! They got away, but they're in that doorway. Whether or not it leads out to another exit, I don't know. Would you like to continue pursuing? Because one of us could try and get in the door, and one of us could go around the back of the building to make sure nobody will get out. Or do you want to just leave it be?"
I think breaking into a place right in front of the palace isn't that great of an idea.
Oh, I wouldn't call it breaking in. I mean, if the door's open, or if we can get it open.
Dorthandel's going to interrupt their discussion if the Reichsguard is getting within
He's getting
ear's
very
range.
close. He's not in a hurry. Like, he's sauntering towards the three of you, but he is definitely beelining towards the three of you, and everyone is getting out of his way.
I will put my hand on Astaroth's shoulder and say, I think that's enough searching for the day. perhaps the Reichsguard there might know where this Lenny is you're looking for, Sigmund. And perhaps maybe those two people ran away and we confused them for someone who knows Lenny.
And I'll turn and I'll listen to Dwarf, and do I see the Reichsguard coming towards us?
Yeah, you cannot miss him. The dude is like 6'5" in full shining plate that looks absolutely immaculate, and he's carrying a sword almost as big as he is.
Okay, then I'll kind of smile and start walking towards the gentleman.
As he gets within speaking range, he goes, "Oh, what's all this then?"
So, hello. Sorry to cause a commotion. My name is Altdorf von Hurlstein. I'm sorry. There was some gentlemen that were eyeballing us, and we've already been pickpocketed once. They were just acting very suspicious, so before they could make a move, I just started to go over to them to see if there was a problem, and they ran. That was about it, as I'm sure you saw. It was just a very...
Oh, go ahead.
It was a very strange circumstance, and as I said, we've already been pickpocketed once. We had a companion lose his coin pouch, and we've just been a little on edge ever since.
Roll an average charm check.
Ugh.
You want to keep it or reroll it?
I'll keep it. I gotta save the other two.
Okay. He listens for a moment and then just sort of shakes his head and says, "Always these country bumpkins coming in, making a whole bunch of mess and jumping at shadows. Welcome to Altdorf. Mind your damn manners and don't cause such a fuss in front of the palace, or we'll throw you in the stockades. Now get moving."
Yes, sir. Sorry, sir.
He turns around and marches back to the palace.
I think we let this lie for now.
That was close. Wow. All right.
As you three are talking, there is another individual who seems to be watching you, but someone very different, someone who just watched how you were able to effortlessly weave through crowds of people, a feat that is quite impressive for an incredibly skilled athletic individual, even though you don't necessarily give off that vibe, and has also seen the three of you rather casually face down an opponent far larger than any of you without so much as showing a sign of fear, someone that might have an interest in speaking to you. Intensity.
Do we see this?
Oh yeah, you're gonna see him. Would you be so kind as to describe your character?
Yeah, can do. So you guys see a rather lean, tall looking man. He does not very much look like he's from around here. But he has a very large, kind of bushy beard that is quite unkempt. Rather fine, though well-worn clothing with it's quite a simple design, kind of just burlap, but it does have some neat like, blue teal stitching that sort of weaves through it quite elegantly. He also is quite tattooed, so around his eyes it is pitch black, and over just across his body there are also weaving just smooth, like almost like waves around his arms and legs. His face is what you guys, or what grabs your attention the most, though, because you can't really pin what his expression is like. Almost either fear or excitement. You are unsure, and he's looking at you guys, seemingly eagerly.
The three of you have an intense feeling of deja vu and are praying to God, praying to whatever gods you believe in. He does not suddenly reach out his right hand to his left ear.
Yeah, I am going to start briskly walking towards him again.
Hello.
Hello, listen to me. And listen to me good. Are you with those two fools that we were just chasing down a moment ago?
No,
You're the third person to stare at us in the last 10 minutes.
Look. I just couldn't help but notice your very skillful maneuvering over there. Are you are you troop adventurers by perchance?
And I'll kind of drop my guard a little bit and say, I guess you could call us that. We are out looking for the Manticore. Have you heard the rumors?
I've heard a little bit here and there. That is quite the beast, though, that you're looking to take on.
Aye.
Go ahead. You first.
Oh, aye. So it is quite the beast, and we'd originally set out with 5, one of us being an ogre, no less. But throughout our travels, we've lost our 2 other companions, and now it's just I and my 2. What is your name?
Name's Lenny. Son of Lenny. Yes.
And I'll hold out my hand cautiously for a handshake and say, my name's Astaroth von Hurlstein.
He'll give you a very sort of weak gripped handshake. Kind of flail his arm. You know, I was kind of wondering, and I've been looking for some strong people myself, and I feel like you might have something to you guys. Are you interested in making some coin?
And I'll turn to Sigmund and Dorthandril, and motion for them to come over.
Oh. Okay, so they are with you. A nobleman. Hello, Lenny. And, are you a sailor, too?
Something that jumps out at the 3 of you is that a lot of, even in Altdorf, a giant cosmopolitan city of people from all over the world, Lenny is getting looks because this man just screams foreigner. Northern foreigner.
Okay.
I'll when Sigmund and Dorthandril come over, and I'll say, lads, this is Lenny. Lenny, this is Sigmund and Dorthandril. Lads, Lenny says he might have an opportunity to make some coin.
Yes. But first, I spoke to you. That's right.
Yep.
You sail, don't you? I can tell by your gait.
Dorthandril is going to look at the mop and bucket he has.
Strapped across your
And
back.
the brush for cleaning ships. And look to Lenny. And decide that this person is either very perceptive in very specific ways. I am a sailor, Northman. But perhaps we should talk not in the middle of the street right in front of this palace.
Oh, really? Why? Are you guys criminals?
Are you?
No. Why would you think that? Look, I'm
You're the one approaching
here. I don't
us.
know. Honestly, is there a problem being in front of this palace? This is honest work.
Then why aren't other people already doing it?
Well, you know, last guy I talked to, crazy, absolutely crazy down by the river. He did not seem as good of a fighter. I don't really know if I wanted to. I don't really want to know if, or I don't really trust him to fight. But you lot seem pretty good. So, actually, let's see here. Okay, he takes he rummages through a small bag on his side and takes out a note, hands it to you upside down that says "Adventurers Wanted."
Oh, here, I've got a printout.
Oh, sweet.
Oh.
He hands you this, though he does hand it to you upside down. And he seems
So,
bizarrely confident that it's right side up.
My boss actually, he wanted me to give this to some bold adventurers looking to make some coin.
Gorathan will read, cringing every time he meets a capital letter in the middle of a sentence that they've taken the time to specifically use a different color for.
It's very fancy.
Can I
Wanted-
roll for? Because you said he seems very foreign. As-
Yes.
Can I tell by looking at him? Like if I can tell he's from like Norska North or
North.
something else.
You roll a minus. Do you have Lore Reichland?
I do.
Oh, roll me a challenging Lore Reichland.
Can I assist him with this?
Oh,
No.
Yeah,
Or
you
can I
can't
just
quite
make
put your
my own
finger
roll?
on it. Maybe he's from. Could be from Osland, maybe. Perhaps he's from. Perhaps he's from somewhere around the Middle Mountains. I mean, y'all weren't far from there recently, and like a lot of those Midlanders were kind of wild looking.
What you looking at?
oh, nothing. I was just looking at admiring your clothing,
Oh yeah, it's
and your tattoos. Just
really nice. Yeah, cute. Yeah. Just be careful. You know, I heard if you look at people too long around here, they might come for you.
is that a threat?
I don't think so. Is that a threat?
Literally described what you were doing a second ago.
Oh no, not for me. Oh.
Good. He kind of squints his eyes.
Give me my companions for a moment. A minute for a moment, please.
Yeah, I'll be here. And he kind of just leans back on the wall, pretending not to be listening.
I'll take Sigmund and Northendril and step out of earshot. Lads, what do you make of this? Should we trust this man? Northendril, what does the notice say?
Wanted bold adventurers, His Excellency the Crown Prince Hergard von Tassinink of the Grand Principality of Ostland. I highly doubt that is his boss. Hereby gives notice that he is currently resident in Altdorf and wishes to engage the services of a party of skilled adventurers. Employment is to begin as soon as possible for an indefinite period. Would-be applicants are forewarned that they shall not be required to undertake a most perilous mission into unexplored regions of the Grey Mountains. The matter is of the utmost delicacy, and absolute discretion is required. Remuneration is negotiable, depending on experience, and a minimum of 8 shillings per person per day is guaranteed in addition to a generous bonus on completion of the mission. No laggards, cowards, or dwarves need apply. Signed, Squiggle, personal scribe to Crown Prince Hergard.
Lenny, you're able to overhear enough of that you're impressed the elf can read, but he does not seem to read very well.
I lost the whatever reason Roll20 got rid of the letter, the image itself. I had it and it's gone now. Thank you. Would I be able to know if any of the names on that are legitimate?
Roll me a minus 10 lore Reichland. Unless you have lore Empire, in which case it'll be much easier check.
No, just Reichland.
Okay, yeah, roll a
Can I
minus
assist him
10.
So it's not minus 10.
Wait, say what?
I also have low accents. I was gonna say.
Oh,
but-
okay. So you only
Doesn't
failed
matter.
by 2 degrees, so you need a 43 to pass. Do you want to
Okay.
reroll or just not worry about it?
What do you guys think? Should I reroll or no?
I mean,
Or just leave it as
wouldn't
is?
bother. Somewhat, they're
Yeah.
wealthy
someone
enough.
actually
There,
Or
there,
with
there
this,
could
so
be
it's
there could be
nice.
other ways to ascertain this information that do not require a reroll. I'll put it that way.
I'll ask Sigmund. Sigmund says, any of those names sound legitimate to you?
I mean,
Shrug.
not that. Yeah, not that I really know, but who's going to spend the money to make something this nice as a fake? Trust me, scams like this, when they're trying to scam you, never look this good.
Well, assuming it isn't a scam or something, the Manticore is the top priority, and if it's going to go anywhere, odds are it's going to go to Bogenhafen. Would I know offhand that the Bogenhafen is before the Great Mountains? Great Mountains separate
Yeah,
the Empire and
you know,
Bretonnia.
you know enough general geography to know that Bogenhafen would lead you quite close to the Grey Mountains.
But it's past, so it's technically past where we need to go then. Grey Mountains are past Bogenhafen, right?
Yes, functionally. If someone was going to set off into the Grey Mountains, the logical thing to do would probably for them to go to Bogenhafen and then go from Bogenhafen further up into the mountains. Probably heading towards like Ubersreich.
So I'll continue on with the group and say we can't bypass Bogenhafen to go straight into the Grey Mountains to assist this gentleman in his quest. We need to prioritize getting to Bogenhafen before the festival. On the other hand, though, we do need gold. Our coin pouches are getting a little light, especially with the absence of Thend. What do y'all think we should do? We could attempt to recruit this man for our hunt for the Manticore, and assure him that if either A, Manticore does go to Bogenhafen and we kill the Manticore, and that barring we don't die in the process, we will assist him in his quest in the Grey Mountains. Or B, if nothing happens in Bogenhafen and the festival goes okay, that before we continue our hunt for the Manticore, we can go to the Grey Mountains and assist him with the quest.
You could always consult Lenny.
I want to figure out what Sigmund and Dothendril think first.
It'd be.
Or we could just
on- yeah.
completely ignore this gentleman and tell him, no, we're not interested in the area of that day. What do you think? I personally think that we should attempt to have him come with us to Bogenhafen, and barring either we find the Manticore or don't, take him up on the offer.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean,
this is-
Grey Mountains are still southeast of here, so.
This is
Mentor was
someone-
roosting in other mountains.
Elsa's offer.
It is someone else's offer, but I don't know if he's a representative or what, but he presented us with the notice, so.
I wave Lenny over.
All right. Now, I can tell this one doesn't seem terribly happy about anything, honestly. He looks at Dorothangel. But I can tell that you are at least interested in making some coin. He looks at Dorothangel's ripped cloak. Hmm?
And he's got Dorothangel pegged.
Are you a representative of the Crown Prince of the Grand Principality of Ostland?
Oh, yeah, no, definitely no. Yeah, no. I work for Joseph Courtgen. I think let's see here.
He says that as if any of you are supposed to know who that is.
He thinks for a second. Gotta read in my notes. We did Joseph. Sotek.
Yeah, what are you fishing for?
Did Joseph?
Yeah,
Did
yeah,
Joseph.
you got it right.
This,
So
we bought.
Joseph Korchin, he's kind of like your he's the master of the ship that you are currently employed on. Like this Tassanik
Okay,
thing,
so
this Tassanik thing, you know about it, and you know that supposedly
This is just of my own accord.
So yeah, this is something that you have proposed to him. You think would be a great job, and he was like, "Well, we're in Altdorf, so you might as well go ask about it." Because supposedly here in Altdorf is where it starts. Like you're supposed to get hired here in somewhere in the capital, but you're not sure where. And also, you by yourself was not a very impressive display.
Apologies. I correct myself. This prince is soon to be my boss when I accept this with some bold adventurers.
I'll look to Dorthandrel and I'll look to Sigmund. What were you gonna say, Dorthandrel?
No, just the reaction of ah.
So, good sir, I think this is the offer we're going to give you. We are a hunt for a manticore. We have to go to a town called Bogenhafen to the southeast of here. It is near the Grey Mountains. So I propose this. You come with us to Bogenhafen, and you assist us with the manticore. Either the manticore appears in Bogenhafen, we fight and kill it, or die, or it doesn't. Either way, once we figure out what's going to happen in Bogenhafen, whether the manticore appears or does not, we will help you with this quest, with this job that you have. So as long as you're willing to accompany us to Bogenhafen and potentially help us fight a manticore, of all things, we will help you with this job. Does that sound reasonable to you?
Absolutely unreasonable. I decline. I, however, have a counter offer. You come with me to Bogenhafen and help me fight this manticore, or at least catch a glimpse of it. And then, for this help, I will allow you to come onto Joseph's boat that is heading there. Free of charge, too.
I'll chuckle and I'll turn to Sigmund and Dorthandrel and say, well, does that sound like a deal?
It's a free ride at the least. And
Tis a free
extra
ride
ham.
at the least. Dorthandrel?
I dread to commit before seeing this vessel.
Oh, great. Pretty
But
good.
contemplating my empty purse,
I've
I
cleaned
may
it
be
myself.
amenable to your suggested offer.
It's not empty. There was some dust that came out of it.
I mean, it doesn't even have a fingernail anymore. It's basically empty.
Hey, and the job's, if we join this job, that's 8 shillings a day. That can go into your purse.
That is some serious money. Like that is more money than any of you have ever made on anything.
Oh, and
Whether
if
or not it's true, we'll find out, but I guess I'll hold the contract holder to it. And I will smile and say, it looks like we have an agreement.
Very good. I was about to ask too. Are you also interested in the Schaffenfest?
Yes, actually, that's why we're going to Bogenhafen. The
Very good.
Schaffenfest, I don't know if you know, is a very large festival, and it happens to be one of the largest gatherings of livestock and cattle and pigs and God knows what else in the Empire. And a hungry manticore is sure to turn up to something like that. Or so we think. So that's why we're heading to Bogenhafen.
But just for the manticore hunt. You're not looking to, party, get down, have some fun.
We will partake in as much as we can while we're there, but we need to be in fighting shape in case the manticore does turn up.
Oh, what a stiff.
Okay. Well, good. deal is done then. If you do want to talk to my current boss, Joseph is over at the Boatman's Inn. Boatman's Inn, I believe, down by the docks. So, you know, when we're ready to sail out, we can head over there.
Excellent. I have a little bit of business I need to take care of around here, and I think Sigmund might have one or two things potentially lined up, but I'm not sure. But would you like to accompany us just for the next little bit?
Yeah. I need to analyze you lot for your adventuring skills.
But let me ask.
Stand up to this quest.
Let me ask you this: on your way to here, you didn't happen to pass a Knights Panther chapter house, did you?
You did.
I did.
Well, maybe. I don't know. It was a fancy building with knights.
I believe I did. What?
Would you be able to tell me where it is?
No, the city is immense. But I can ask around. I'm very good at that.
Well, that is our next stop, the Knights Panther. So, if you're willing to join us, so let us be on our way. We need to find out where this chapter house is.
Oh, yeah, I can do that. He'll go look for the largest looking guard he can find and walk straight to them.
Oh, okay. I mean, you're still pretty close to the palace, so that's not hard.
All right. You there, big man.
You hear the light shriek of metal on skirting on metal as he looks down at you.
Hello. He'll look up Lenny, and he'll say, "We're looking for the Knights Panther. My friends over here are searching for them."
Roll a very easy gossip check.
It's the same dude that just came over to us and like knock it off.
He points just a little bit behind you. He goes, you just go down a couple blocks, take a left. Nice, fancy, ornate building. You can't miss it. It's the chapter house.
Thank you, good sir. You are a blessing to the city. And he will wheel around and go back to the group. Yeah, it's over there.
You hear him you hear him mutter something about foreigners.
Well, come on.
Well, he told you where it is?
It's right there. And he'll point in the direction of...
Obviously.
Well, lead the way, good sir.
All right. He'll go.
All right. Yeah, you make your way down the main street, and as you kind of are covering around this little bend here on the map, you do see a quite fancy, almost cathedral-like building if it weren't for how like militarily designed it is. And all over it are frescoes and gargoyles with these very cat-like influences. And outside it, sure enough, are quite a few knights on various comings and goings that bear the heraldry of the Knights Panther with their super iconic helmets that have various terrifying beasts as the iconography and pelts of exotic creatures thrown over their shoulders.
Am I allowed to just walk in, or are they going to stop me?
No, you can walk in pretty easily to the front entrance if you want. You have to
So I'll
kind of, make sure you don't get trampled by knights who are not necessarily inclined to dodge you. They expect you to dodge them, but other than that, it's not particularly difficult to get in.
I'll turn to the group and say, I think it's best if I go in alone, because I don't know how they're going to react to what I'm about to do. And I don't know if there's going to be any punishment.
And
so
you're not a criminal.
I don't think I'm a criminal, but they might see differently, and I unfortunately can't account for the laws of Altdorf and the Knights Panther and etc. But I'm doing what I think is the right thing, and I hope they can just see my side. But it might be best if you just wait outside and don't potentially get in trouble for assisting me with what they might call grave robbing.
I mean, I can at least lend a bit of authority. I mean, I'm part of the guard from Nuln.
I can offer my presence from the outside. You call for me when you need.
I will. Perhaps I will take Sigmund with me. As he's like he said, a representative. But I think it might be best on what you two to wait outside for now, unless I call for you.
Me and this guy, Mr. Moody.
Yeah, you
Yes.
guys talk about boats and ships and
Exactly. You both share seafaring knowledge. Might be a good opportunity for you two to get acquainted.
All right. I'll warm him up to me. He rubs his hands together.
Dorothy
Looks
just
at
Tell
like,
me, Lenny,
why?
have you ever gone by the name Anton?
Not that I know of.
Shocking.
Look-
Met a drunk man who thought you did.
Did he look sane?
Well,
So
he
not
was was
for anyone
drunk in
drinking.
Altdorf. I presume that means sanity.
I don't know. I pass by some weird folk here. Honestly, everyone here is kind of strange.
Ah, you get that feeling too about Altdorf.
Yeah, it's too big. Everything here, honestly, have you seen the buildings? My goodness.
Yes, they're terrible.
I know. Alright.
So,
These two are the best of friends.
Sigmund and Astaroth, as you wander into the beautifully crafted and meticulously maintained chapter house, passing by various squires and quite a few initiates in more casual clothing who are tending to various records and distributing orders. When you walk in, you only make it probably about 5 yards into the building down the main hall, which is only a tiny fraction of the distance you need to go to get to the people that look like they're actually interested in receiving guests. When you hear, "Halt!"
And so hearing halt, I will immediately drop to one knee and bow my head.
I stay standing.
You hear the clank of feet in metallic armor rapidly approaching, and a man stomps up to you who is quite heavily armored in the full regalia of a proper highly positioned Knight Panther, and his face is already deepening with red, and he doesn't look at you at all, Sigmund. He is focused purely on Astaroth, and you hear him hiss, "Where did you get that?"
So I can obviously tell by looking at him that he's in a high position of power, correct?
Yes, he has various iconography on the front of his breastplate that marks him out as some sort of officer.
Okay. So I will, with my head bowed down on one knee, I will hold the sword up in both my palms and say, "Good honorable sir of the Knights Panther, my name is Athros von Hurlstein. I am just a humble huntsman of Talabecland. I was on the roads between Delberts and Stogenhagen, where my companions and I found 12 of your Knights Panther slaughtered by the Manticore. Upon inspection of their bodies, there were 12 of them exact, their horses slaughtered. No remains really remained of them except for scattered body parts and plate mail and this sword. The sword looked too valuable to leave with the bodies of these gentlemen. I did not want to leave it for grave robbers or pickpockets of the like. I took it upon myself to take the sword and bring it back to the first Knight Panther that I found, whether it be a chapter house or just someone on the road. I do admit, however, I have used the sword in combat to defend myself, and a great dishonor upon me and my family, as I am not warranted to use a sword of such high caliber. But I had no choice. It has been my goal since I found the sword to return it to the rightful house of the sword, so that way either the gentleman's family can have the sword back, or it can be returned to service under an honorable knight of your house. I am so sorry for my transgression. I only wanted to do the right thing. And I will accept any punishment that you and the Law Council of Altdorf set upon me.
You hear he snatches the blade away from you. And he looks at the scabbard and glares down at you, and his face is a beet red against his blonde beard and hair. He almost looks a little ridiculous because he's fuming so badly. And his mouth kind of moves for a moment, and the whole situation has garnered the attention of everyone around you. Everyone has frozen. Many of the various novices, there are a lot of raised eyebrows, there and some aghast looks, and the man you happen to be talking to, his teeth are grinding, and his hand reaches down to his own sword, which begins to slide out of its scabbard when a younger man approaches and says, "No, sir, you can't." And his wrath turns over to this young man, and he says, "Oberholt, you would do well to remember your place." And he draws his sword, and he presses it, not very gently, against the side of your neck, and says, "You defiled this order and this blade by touching it with your filthy peasant hands. I would remove them from you so that they might not stain yet another."
I only wanted to do what was right by Sigmar and Tal, to return the sword to its rightful chapter house and its rightful owners, lest it become a possession of a grave robber or a criminal. But alas, I understand. And as I said, I accept whatever punishment that you deem necessary.
He raises his sword up, but before he's able to do much else, you hear a rumbling, lower and older voice behind him go, "That's enough." And he freezes. And you can see a vein bulging on his forehead, as if he somehow is reaching an even more apoplectic form of rage. But nonetheless, he does not move as a much older knight approaches from behind. Still a beast of a man, who is clearly strong despite his years. His hair long having gone white, clean shaven. And he looks down on you with eyes that sort of sparkle. His eyes are a very rich blue. And he looks between you and Sigmund for a moment, before turning to the man beside him, and he says, "Von Harbingen, you dishonor yourself." Before looking to you and says, "Rise."
And I will rise.
"Both of you, come with me."
I'll look to Sigmund and say, I guess we don't have much choice. Come, friend.
Yep.
He takes the sword from Von Harbingen and leads you both to the back and leads you through a large ornate door that is marked with the symbology and iconography of the Knight's Panther that is made of ancient Dreckwald oak, and leads you into a austere but impressive office with some standing suits of armor and a collection of standards and weapons that seem to have something almost otherworldly to them. And he walks over to a desk and he gently sets the blade down before running his hand across it. And he turns to look at the two of you and he says, "What are your names?"
I am Astaroth von Hurlstein. Could I roll? Because I have the noble blood. Could I roll for that? See if he recognizes the name?
He's functionally rolling for it himself. He pauses, but he then turns his attention to Sigmund.
Sigmund Faust von Serg, Watchman of Nuln.
He nods slowly before saying, "Two of you have noble enough bearing, though I do not recognize the names of your house. That may mean little, though. I doubt you are from the Reichland, as based on your story, it sounds like you are closer to Middenheim."
That is correct. I am from Talgrad, a small village just outside the northwest side of Tabelheim. And Sigmund is from Nuln. We were traveling between Delbers and Bogenhafen when we came across, as I said, 12 of your knights. Brutally slaughtered by the Manticore, the bodies strained anew, their mounts completely decimated. And this sword was one of the only actual artifacts and items that we could obtain, and it looked so valuable that I could not leave it for roadside grave robbers to take. And I made it a goal of mine to return it to the Knights Panther, but I unfortunately had to use it in self-defense.
He nods a little bit at your words, and he turns around and slowly draws the blade that you brought him. And you two witness once more how the blade has a strange, almost ethereal quality, as if it's not entirely really there. And he looks down at the scabbard, and you hear him tut a little bit, as if he's trying to recall something. And by him, I apparently mean me. And he looks at it, and he looks specifically at the mark on the scabbard that puzzled you previously, where there were clearly a set of initials, but the only one that survived it appeared to be the last one, which is an R. And he finally nods to himself and goes, Reifenbach. How unfortunate. I believe he and his knights set out from Karaberg. They must have made it to Middenheim and set off further in pursuit. That is unfortunate.
So you know the gentleman? Have none of your order found the bodies? We did our best to lay them by the roadside so they would be found.
I have heard of many casualties along the Middenheim-Altdorf road. Many of ours. His was not the only retinue that went in pursuit of this beast, nor was it the only that fell. And the creature did apparently possess an unfortunate habit of extreme dismemberment and corrosion, which can make it quite difficult to identify the deceased. That being said, your talk about grave robbers rings far too true. Why, not that long ago, there was a man hanged, only a few hours past, for being caught with the possession of one of such knight. He was attempting to fence it here in the city.
I can assure you, with every ounce of fiber in my being, that that was not my goal. I have only been in Altdorf for just a day. We slept because we came in rather late yesterday, and as soon as the morning dawned, I set out to come and find your chapter house.
He holds up a hand to silence you, and he says, "No need. I believe your tale. I don't think anyone with any reasonable intellect would doubt it. You would not have walked into the lion's den had you been intending to steal it. I do apologize for Helmut's behavior earlier. He can be a little headstrong.
Albeit his behavior is understandable. It is regretful that I had to draw the sword in the first place."
He raises an eyebrow at this, and he says, "How so? Is it not good that a member of the Empire would draw a blade designed to defend its people in doing just that? I take it you weren't using it to hack firewood."
No, no, not at all. A band of mutants, actually, in the Drakwold. But still, despite both of our practical acceptance of the use, there are many amongst the Empire, as the gentleman stated, that a peasant's hand would sully the blade.
Yet, you do not appear to me as a simple peasant. There is something of bearing about you. Perhaps not in name, but in something older. Tell me, what do you think of the knightly orders?
I think they're invaluable to the Empire, regardless of their creed or their purpose. That every knightly order of the Empire serves a drastic purpose to keep the common soldiery in line and provide the common men with motivation and desire to serve. That perhaps they one day might aspire to be one, given any knightly order. And that the training, skill, and material possessions that the knightly order provide have provided countless victories for the Empire. Without them, despite the common soldier's tenacity and albeit basic skill in combat, the Empire surely would fall.
And what do you know of the Knights Panther?
Would the Lore Reichland know much about them or not?
You can roll a you may roll an average Lore Reichland.
Wow, no.
So you know that the Knights Panther, the things that you know for sure, they are a secular order. They're not heavily associated or really at all associated with any of the major religions. And you know that they're based out of mostly Middenheim and Talabheim. And you also know that their primary focus is very much protecting the integrity of the Empire. So facing off against beastmen and mutants and other perversions of chaos.
So I will say this, honorable sir, that I know that your order is not only responsible for many crusades against Araby many years ago, but also that your order is more about the purity of the Empire, about banishing the mutant and the heretic, and the good of the common people, which is something that a good portion of many of the knightly orders cannot say about themselves. And that your knights strive to be the shining light amongst the common people of the Empire, to settle disputes and settle grievances and protect the common man.
He nods at this, and he sits down in his seat, and he looks to you, Sigmund. He says, "Tell me, Sigmund Faust von Serig, what do you think of this companion of yours?"
I believe he's been honorable and true. He has risked his life to protect not only the other members of our party, but those of the common man as well. He's been fearless in battle and a true friend.
And would you say he wielded this blade with dishonor?
No. We were ambushed in the Drakwold, and we were forced to defend ourselves, and he drew the blade out of necessity and wielded it with honor.
He sheathes the blade back into its sheath, and steebles his fingers, nodding. It says, "The two of you could have very easily taken this blade and head off in a different direction. Would have been quite simple to pawn it off for a very impressive sum. But I am curious what your goals are precisely in returning this to the order."
I don't believe we really had a goal other than returning it to its original order.
And you, Astaroth von Herlsenstein?
I'm sorry, what was the question? I
He
stepped
asked,
out for a second.
he asked what you sought by returning the blade.
Well, I sought to do right by the Empire, by Sigmar and Tal, my gods. As I said, the knightly orders, especially the Knights Panther, amongst others, serve the good of the Empire. What servant of Sigmar and Tal would I be if I left such a valuable sword to be left to the common grave robber and thief? I thought of perhaps this sword might have an heir, a son or a daughter of this knight who could be returned to it, or if not, at least the sword could be retained by the order and passed on to another novice knight who could use it to slay the foes of the Empire. Are we all not sons of Sigmar at the end of the day?
We are, but do you only do what you do for the glory of the gods?
No. I do what is right by what I think is right. Sure, the gods guide what I think is right and wrong to a certain degree, but I have my own morals and code and ethics, and what I think is right is what I think is right. And what I think is right is to return the sword to where it belongs.
He nods, and he reaches down below his desk, and you hear him pull open a drawer, and you hear some like metal shifting around, and he pulls out 2 pouches and sets them on the desk before both of you. But he does look up at you, Astaroth, and he says, "Tell me, have you ever had any aspirations of serving the Empire beyond living in a quaint village?"
I have, such as any man, but those opportunities have come sparingly. Growing up in Talgrad, my family was of skilled hunter descent. My father would descend into the Drakewald with his pack of huntsmen and gather food and supplies. And as me and my brothers were growing up, we would go out with him into the very, very beginnings of the Drakewald and hunt small game. And as I became older, I was conscripted into several campaigns against beastmen and the like. And I was happy to serve as a conscripted soldier. But that is all my military experience became to be. It was just a called upon skilled hunter to track beastmen and the like. And I lost many friends along the way.
A common enough tale. And tell me this, Astaroth von Herlsenstein. Should an opportunity present itself now, would you take it?
I absolutely would. For the good of the Empire and the good of myself.
So, what he is offering functionally is the ability, if you are so inclined, to functionally do these are very rare, but you may jump into a different career for free.
Oh my. You serious?
Yes. If you want to do it though, we'll talk more about it at the end of the session.
Yeah, no, if that opportunity is being presented to me, I feel like Astaroth would definitely take it.
Okay, he nods and he pushes the pouches towards you. But to you in particular, Astaroth, he says, "Do you know how to read and write?"
Alas, no.
Do you have
not.
someone with you that does?
I do. An elf companion.
Good. Then I will expect regular reports from where you go on your travels, and I look forward to hearing more from you, Astaroth von Herlsenstein.
Yes, my liege. Absolutely, my liege.
He's going to stand up and face away from you, and he says, "Before you leave Altdorf, come and see me again tomorrow."
Absolutely, my liege. And I look to Sigmund and kind of cock my head towards the door,
Yeah,
and I guess we'll take our leave.
He
grab those bags.
Yeah, I was gonna say he coughs politely and says, "Do not forget your things," gesturing without looking at you to the pouches he put on the desk.
What isn't? Can I tell what's in the pouch? Is it money or?
That would probably be a fair guess.
Oh, I don't feel comfortable accepting money. I don't want money for what I think is right. So I'll pick up the pouch and I'll toss it in my hand and I'll feel that it's a coin and say, "My liege, sir, I can't accept payment for what I've done."
He turns back bemused, looking at you with a small smirk, and he says, "You've barely started and you're already refusing orders?"
And I'll kind of bow my head and say, "If it's an order, alas, yes, sir. I'll take the pouch and I'll leave."
All right. The two of you are able to make your way out. You do see a familiar, not thrilled individual, noting that A, you are still alive, and B, unmaimed, but no one makes any move to stop you.
And I'll once we're out of the chapter house.
The only the only other person that kind of catches your attention is the young man who spoke up for you does nod at you. The young initiate.
And I'll nod back and I'll say, "Thank you, sir."
He doesn't really say anything back to you. He just resumes his duties.
As we're leaving the chapter house, I will turn pale and I'll turn to Sigmund and I'll put both my hands on his shoulders and say, "By the gods, did I just get initiated into the Knights Panther?"
Yes, you did.
I start like hyperventilating, just, "Oh my god, oh my god!"
I'm just gonna keep us moving because we're right in front of the chapter house still.
Don't freak out! Don't freak out! All right.
Oh my god, my mother will be so happy, but oh my god! I'll have Sigmund keep pushing me down the road.
You were also almost gutted like a fish, but yeah, positives.
Yeah, exactly.
You find Dorathandril and Lenny waiting for you outside.
You live.
I do live. I am alive as ever. I am more alive than I think I've been in the last 2 years of my life. I don't think anything could stop me right now. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to do? Because I'm just raring to go.
Oh, by the way, the two of you that went inside the pouches, add 3 gold crowns to your inventory.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Well, I got nothing. I'm just waiting here for you lot to set sail.
It'll have to probably wait till tomorrow at the earliest. We will be returning here. I believe Astaroth is still ahead in the clouds right now.
Ah, yes. I am required to report back here tomorrow morning before we depart. After that, we are free to do what we need to do. But there is absolutely nothing that can prevent us from coming back here tomorrow.
Oh, don't tempt me.
So with that, is everyone okay?
Are you?
I am just ecstatic. I am just, as you said, head in the clouds. But I'm good. I think I've done everything I need to do for the day. Albeit, perhaps stocking up on some arrows from our past encounter might be beneficial. Although I don't think I'll need them anymore. But we shall see. Sigmund, did you have anything that you wanted to do?
No, I believe the gentleman that I spoke to earlier was more inebriated than I realized and gave me bad directions, so I don't think I have anything other than...
Oh, I forgot to say something. So, Lenny, when Dorathandra was talking to you and he mentioned the name, oh crap, what's that kid's name?
Anton.
Anton. While you are not Anton, you do know an Anton who serves on the Bear Belly. A very, very recent hire.
Oh. Good to know. Good to know.
Now, whether
Am
you
I
choose to
just
share that information or
remembering
not is
this
up to
now?
you.
Oh,
you- Yeah, you don't have to share it if you don't want to, but you do know an Anton.
okay. I think you still had something to do, right? You were looking for, Anton fellow.
Yes.
I will note before you go any further, just so you're all on the same page, if y'all want to pursue the wanted bold adventurers thing, you would want to pursue that here in the city. The where in the city you'd have to figure out.
Okay.
Not you, the elf. He was asking me if I was Anton. Yeah, I know the guy.
Yes. You know him.
Yeah, I work with him. Why?
For how long?
Like a few days.
Yeah, not very long.
He has a very fancy handgun.
But yeah, not very long. Why are you looking? No, look. He is one of my crewmates, so if you're looking to rough him up or something, I'll be in your way. But
Did
if
he
it's
come aboard your ship with a newer looking firearm, perhaps? Something
yeah,
fresh out of the
very
box?
fancy.
And I'll turn to Sigmund and say, "Oi, it's kind of peculiar."
Wait, why? Why are you asking?
He is wanted. I just want to ask him some questions. Just some questions for now.
I just want to talk to him.
Yeah.
You're
I do
saying
have blunderbuss, so it even works for the gift.
this is probably the most suspicious you've acted since I've met you.
No, as the good man said, he just wants to talk to him. Doesn't mean Anton's in trouble. It's just more so to get information from Anton about where he might have acquired certain things. No one's in trouble.
This is terrifying. Are you? Look, I don't want to. Look, my boss is not going to be happy if the new hire dies, okay?
He's not going to die. He might not be hired, though, when we're done. Because I'm sure your boss wouldn't want to hire a potential criminal.
Okay. Well. Ooh. If you say so, I guess we can't have a criminal on board. That would be bad. Just try not to cause too much trouble, though. It's kind of my job to make sure things go smoothly on this boat until we hit the Schaffenfest. So I don't want to stir up too much, okay? So if anything's gonna go down, at least make sure it's off the ship. I have to clean it after, okay?
Okay. I mean, you said you're staying at the Boatsman, right? I'm sure Anton's staying there with you. We can talk there.
If you say so. Do you mind if I'm there while you talk and just quote fingers with them?
I don't mind at all.
Good. All right.
With that, Sotek, how you feeling?
I'm doing okay if y'all would like to keep going for a bit longer.
I'm down. I can keep going.
Yeah.
Wanna
I
see
can
what
keep
happens,
going.
man.
And While you're all having this conversation, Dorothandrel is standing to the side, chuckling as he rereads Then's note. Over and over again, laughing to himself.
So, given this new information, I'll turn to Sigmund and say, well, if we have nothing to do, I guess going to the docks would be a good start.
Well, I mean, we should probably look for this Ostermark prince, right? Or Osland prince?
Yes, I suppose you're right.
Lenny, do you know where they are, or were you just wandering the city trying to find them?
Do I know? I assume not.
I have no idea.
Well, I will admit, I was kind of just wandering around hoping to find a group of people that could accompany me.
Yeah, Emperor's Palace, Prince, like, he's a decent lead.
Yeah, like, you know. Look, I can't read.
I understand the struggle.
Thank you. But I think if we ask around for this prince, we could probably find it pretty easily. How many princes are there?
Well, there's a couple.
Yeah,
But they're not
two.
all staying in. They're not all staying in the city, I'm sure.
Yeah, easy then.
And he put out a
Yeah.
notice, so he wants to be found.
Does
As they
anyone-
discuss this, is there an inn nearby or a tavern, someplace where people drink?
Not super nearby where you are. Not in this particular part of the city. You'd probably want to head back to the Street of 100 Taverns.
Well, if we head to the Street of 100 Taverns, some innkeep is bound to know if they've been passing out flyers like this.
I guess that's a fair assumption.
That, or maybe a town crier might know.
Sure. You don't want me to walk into this big building and ask some of the people in there?
No.
I don't think that's a good idea.
The big buildings are not taverns. Those are referred to as palaces.
Okay. Well, then we'll find ourselves a tavern then.
There are plenty of town criers if you want to try asking or bothering one of them.
All right, I'll bother one.
As you're
I hand Lenny the paper and stand to watch this interaction.
as you are approaching this man, he's standing on a corner shouting, "Connoisseurs of the Imperial Ostlanders has returned for the border princes. The Greenskins must have been defeated. It's a great victory for the Emperor."
Hey, border princes! I'm looking for a prince. I hold up the paper.
He kind of pauses mid-sentence and like briefly looks over it. Roll an average gossip check.
Oh yeah, here we go. Easy.
He nods and he goes, "Oh, Von Tassenink. Yeah, of course. Tons of people have been come here for that. Great adventure, great pay, dangerous. Will make quite the story when they return. It'll be all over."
Oh yes, that's me. Where is he? Where can I find him?
Oh, well, you'd find him, he has an estate, a residence. It's, quite nice. It's a big imposing building near the bottom of the Street of 100 Taverns. Not too far from the Conic Plots. You can't miss it, though I wouldn't really bother going.
I didn't understand half the things you said. Just point. Point in the direction.
He points, towards, this part of the city, and he goes, "I wouldn't bother, though. I mean, they already left."
Oh.
Yeah, they left
Okay.
3 days ago.
Oh. Well, okay, they left towards the mountains?
Yeah, had a big group of adventuring types, kind of like you and your little gang there.
Okay.
Man, they're gonna make
I'll
so
turn back
much
to the
money.
turn back to the party with the grin, thumbs up, and turn back to him. Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, but
And I'll go back.
you might be able to catch up with them. They left for the Bogenhafen. They took a barge. It's a whole big thing.
I know. We gotta go then. I rush back to the party. All right. So, they're gone. They're gone. But we can catch them. Yeah. He sailed to Bogenhafen already, like 3 days ago. But I am a darn good sailor, and I think we can catch up to him.
Well, I don't particularly doubt your skills as a sailor, but how are we going to sail if your boat is gone?
Oh
No,
no.
the prince left 3 days ago.
Oh, the prince. Sorry, the prince. My bad.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. What was your name again?
Sigmund.
Sigmund. Lenny. Do you have any titles?
Yes. Do you?
No. I was wondering if you had any. Well, what have you done then?
Well, I'm the son of a baron, and I'm also watchman in Nome.
Okay. Not very exciting then. Well, anyways, we have to.
You have nothing.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm son of Lenny then. Oh, the great Lenny, slayer of bears. Now, we can make up titles. If you've actually earned any, then we can talk. But we should set sail soon. You said you wanted to stay a day. We'll be 4 days behind, and then we should head out as soon as possible then. If we want to actually.
I understand, but I absolutely cannot be late for my requested meeting tomorrow. There's not a possibility, but as soon as it's over, barring nothing else, we can immediately set sail.
Okay, good. Then, while we wait for that, then, you guys wanted to murder my coworker?
We don't want to murder your coworker.
I
just want to talk to him.
Lenny winks at you. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, let's go then.
Ignore the fact that I have a sword and a blunderbuss.
Dutifully noted. Well, I will lead you there as long as you're not coming after me. You know, I got nothing. So let's go then. And this will be an interesting team building exercise for us.
The Docklands.
Way.
All right.
Oh yes. You don't know where it is. We'll...
Yeah. Are you going to lead them towards the boatman's inn?
Yes.
Okay. You begin. You make your way back through the city. You pass beyond the Holy Temple of Sigmar, that towering edifice of religious nightmarism, and then you cross the bridge again over towards the Königsplatz, and you very quickly turn and make your way here down towards the docks. But as you're arriving, you are near the very end of the Street of 100 Taverns, where it connects onto the docks proper, where it connects with the River Reich, so there's tons of coming and going, and the Boatman's Inn is it's very appropriately named, and it's right on the docks. But before you're actually able to make it all the way down to the docks, as you're rounding a corner, on the side of a street, you see a skinny street preacher dressed in rags who's clutching tight to a scroll, and he's just screaming at people as they pass. And as y'all are passing, his eyes fall on you, and they almost completely bulge out of the sockets, and he points a withered, skinny arm at the four of you, and he shouts without any prompting, "I see darkness gathering as the last house of joy falls. Beware, for shadows over Bogenhafen stir. Then beloved more resplendent investments of green stands astride Sigmar's great river. Yea, I see death on the Reich, and I despair, for the disdained hand guides the once mighty lord, and this power behind the throne curses us all. Lo, the horned rat then claims the broken king atop his throne of lies, and the white walls fall, leaving our empire in ruins. Tremble in fear, ye mighty, for the end times have come.
By the gods.
Oh, no, don't
I'd
worry
say
about
that
it.
man needs a drink, but I think he might have drank his full.
Yeah, honestly, he's been here since yesterday. I've heard him from the window since this morning too. He's terrible. Just ignore him. Keep walking.
Lenny, while the ravings of this particular man, especially end times ravings, are not new to you, this was a little bit more of a coherent ramble as far as like he didn't like have any stuttering or seem to have any complete incoherent screams in the midst of it. It was a little different than usual, but at the same time, eh.
Mm-hmm. Good to know. But yeah, just ignore him. It's fine. It's fine.
As
Come on.
Lenny is saying that, the man does let out kind of a strangled gasp, and he falls to his knees, and a bit of foam starts coming out of his mouth with specks of blood, and he collapses onto his face.
Could I roll for, despite my initial impression and what I conveyed to the group, could I roll just for an intuition to be like, huh, I wonder if
Yeah,
that
sure.
had anything to do with us?
Roll a challenging intuition. Would you like to re-roll that?
Sure.
Man,
Okay.
a lot of weird people are pointing and staring at you today.
Yeah, seems like it.
Can I do a gossip check with the guy next to me? I'll lean into a random guy beside me and
But
be
what-
like, "Hey, what's up with that guy?"
Oh, okay. Roll an average gossip check.
Oh, I would like to re-roll.
If you want, you
spend
can
one
spend a
to
fortune point to just
succeed.
pass,
Oh.
because you're only -0.
I will do that.
All right. There's a portly man next to you, who's busy chowing down on a halfling meat pie that he bought from a corner, and he clearly seems bothered by you interrupting his reverie and enjoying what he has gotten from the moot folk. But he turns and sort of looks at the man lying dead in the street, and just sort of waves him off, saying, "Oh, typical doomsday prophet, rambling on about the end times and chaos and rats and nonsense. Who cares?"
All right, guys. Yeah, honestly, pretty normal here. I think we just keep going on and disassociate from him.
Disassociate. Just pretend we saw nothing.
Yeah.
Then he will just
There is-
start walking forwards as if nothing happened.
Yeah, there is a weird twitching in Sigmund's stomach at the mention of rats and stuff, but that's it.
Dorathandril just looks at Lenny with interest after his claim of like, "Oh, I have no titles, but I'm going to do big things," and someone starts shouting a bunch of highly title-sounding doomsday-bringing stuff.
Anywho, you make your way down and you finally arrive at the docks proper. You see all manner of vessels that are tied up along the riverfront, from high-masted ships to smaller barges and houseboats. The Boatman Inn is just one of many establishments along this embankment, and it appears to be a cheerful enough place, a little tatty but inviting. And as you enter into the inn proper, you see that it meets the name. There are quite a few different types of riverfolk found within the inn, mostly boatmen, but you do see a few obvious sailors in the city from the Reichsport. The atmosphere seems cordial enough and friendly, and the food and drink, from you can see already marked on the signs, is quite reasonably priced. And in the midst of the room, there is one man who kind of stands out due to the just jolly air he gives off, and the laughter that's radiating out. And this man who has, you can see he's fairly got like a solid musculature, even though he's got that kind of identifiable flab that comes with men who were very strong but then started to age, and their muscles start wearing down with time. Turns and toasts you all with a drink upon seeing Lenny, and he says, "Lenny, my boy, how are you?"
Be like, Joseph, I found an adventuring group. I did it. And I'll run up to him.
He laughs merrily and stands up, pretty large guy himself, clapping Lemmy roughly on the shoulder, and then turns with an almost manic grin to the three of you and says, "I'll have to hear all about it." And that is the end of today's session.
Nice.
All right.
Great job, gentlemen. We
Thank you.
are pretty much done with Altdorf. There's a little bit more to do. I accidentally gave myself more homework with the Knights Panther section, but that's okay. Just real quick, 100 XP for everybody. Great job.
Nice.
Y'all took care of a whole bunch of wonderful little things. Thend is now officially retired and replaced by Lenny, the very curious foreigner, who I'm sure you'll learn more about with in time.
Completely normal guy, guys.
Totally normal.
Totally.
And you have now met Joseph Courtgen, who you'll get to speak to quite a bit in next session. So a couple of just quick little managerial things. Mr. Astaroth, if you would like, you have a genuinely one-time, exclusive offer to change careers for free. And
I cannot pass up on that opportunity.
if you accept, you shall be changing from whatever career you have now to the Knight Panther career.
That is acceptable with me.
Cool. We will go over all of these specifics off stream to get you all the things you're going to need. You're not going to start off as a full-on squire. You're going to start off essentially becoming a squire. So there will be quite a few things that you will still have to acquire for yourself in your adventures before really being able to fully indulge in being a squire. And but you are no longer a hunter.
Okay.
All right. Any thoughts, concerns, questions, things that need to be brought up before we wrap up? Going once. Going twice. And
Okay.
sold. All right. Thank you all, everyone, so much for joining. I'm going to go ahead and shut off the recording for anyone that is watching this over on the YouTubes. And thank you all for watching.